You're back with the Powerful Communication Podcast from Comsteria. This is Colin Kelly, and you can find out all about us and what we're doing at comsteria.co.uk. One of the things we often end up doing is, I suppose, acting as a bridge between communications professionals, so PR and marketing teams, and academics. And quite often it will be the communications professional will come to us and say, look, we work with these academics, these experts. We need to get some time with them, and we want to help them tell their story. We want them speaking on our podcast. We want them writing blogs for us, or we're trying to take their work and take it out there to a non-academic audience. We want their work to be understood by everybody else. And sometimes there's a bit of maybe tension, maybe conflict, maybe just a lack of understanding when you bring these different worlds and different cultures together. And they are different worlds, and it's not that one's better than the other or that anybody's doing anything terribly wrong. It's just we've maybe not spent that much time together and we don't understand each other too much. And so this episode today is really intended for the academics to help them understand the communications world a little bit. It might also help you if you work in PR or comms or marketing and you deal with academics and you think, I can't quite put my finger on what it is that's different, or why doesn't this work so well? And we've done quite a bit of it, so there's a few recurring things that I see that you might strike a chord with you, and you think, oh right, it's not just me, or it's not just my people, it's not just the academics I deal with. This is happening across the board. So suppose a place to start is, well, let's flip it on its head. Let's take my world and try and plug it into academia. Right, so if I took this podcast and if I took this blog and put it into the academic world, the academics would say, well, who the hell's this guy? Who's this guy Colin? He just rocks up here with his ideas and his opinions and he chucks them all at us. And no matter how well articulated or otherwise they might be, he hasn't told us anything about his credentials. We don't know his qualifications. We don't know where he studied or if he even studied at all. He's not even properly introducing himself, let alone giving us the letters after his name. And he's saying all this stuff and he never cites anyone. He never quotes anyone. Where are your references? So they're left hanging thinking, well, even if we did like the sound of this guy and kind of like what he's saying, we don't know where it's coming from. There's no reference points. Therefore, we can't trust this guy, or we can't trust what he's saying. So they're going to feel quite uneasy about that. And often when people aren't sure if they trust you and they make you feel uneasy, the next thing is, I don't like him. I don't like this guy, Colin. Well, if you listen to this and you're an academic, I hate to break it to you, but that's how we sometimes feel about you. And I'm being a little bit extreme here, but that's the problem. And it's just these different worlds. And there's a few really simple things, just as the simple things that I could do in terms of the way I present myself and introduce myself and the way I structure my ideas and reference other people, that would put the academics at ease and make them think, oh yeah, okay, well, we can work with this guy, we get it. There are some really simple things that academics could do that would make it much easier and more acceptable and more of a pleasure, I suppose, for you to work with PR and comms people. And in my experience, one of the big problems is there is in academia, I think, something of a hierarchy going on. Oh, this journal's better than that one, or if I speak at this event, or if I get these letters, or if I study here, that's somehow... There is a bit of an academic pecking order. And sometimes academics feel that, well, they're being judged. So if I say this, or if I say it like this, or if I don't say this, and this, or if I don't use this language, that my academic peers will judge me. I don't think that's true, because I don't think they'll judge you when you're in that different world. When you come out in my blog or my podcast or the event that I'm putting on for the people like me, and you go and speak at it, I don't think other academics really give a damn about what you do in that space. I think what they care about is what you say in the journal or the academic paper that they care about that matters in their world. My blog, my podcast, my event, the talk you're doing for me, I don't think they really care about that because it is a completely different world. There's a few things that academics can do that are going to help you do better in this different world. And the first one is to realise, when someone asks you for your biography, don't give them your biography. If someone's putting on an event, or they need an introduction for a podcast, or something for the start of a blog post that you might be guest writing, I don't want your biography. What I want is 2 or 3 sentences that just explain who you are and where people can find out more. It's not the same as an academic biography that tells me, often chronologically, everything you've done that's of any importance. It's just a quick intro. It's, who are you? What did you do? Tell me something interesting about yourself. And when I'm asking for your biography, I would be okay if you told me a little bit about your interests outside work. You tell me that you've got kids. You tell me that you've got a pet, right? It's not a biography for an academic paper. So that's the first thing. And I think that word immediately triggers academics and they go into, all right, the biography. Yes, I'll give you that. Got that on my hard drive from that conference that I spoke at last year. No, we don't want that. Okay, and if you can't write 2 or 3 sentences yourself, I'm going to write it for you. So there's no point giving me 2.5 pages because it's not going to get used. The second thing is when you're on the podcast, speaking at the event, or writing the blog, you need to know when to stop. Academics have this thing, because they're very clever in a certain area, they have this thing where they keep thinking of something else to say. And some of them can and do go on all day. And early in my journalism career, I was naive enough to interview some academics, and there was one in particular. I asked the fellow one question, and we still used cassettes in those days. It was 45 minutes per side. My tape ran out. I asked one question, and they just went into lecture mode. Now, in many situations, as I progressed in journalism, I would just start interrupting people. I'd tell them to stop. Of course, that makes you maybe feel a wee bit awkward. It disrupts your train of thought. But anyway, the bottom line is it's going to be much, much easier for everyone if you just recognise that when you're asked a question and you answer it and you say your bit, stop. I'm looking for answers that are maybe somewhere between 30 and 60 seconds. You talking uninterrupted for a minute when we're trying to have a conversation, that's kind of quite a long time. Okay, now don't get too hung up on it. If you go a bit beyond that, that's absolutely fine. But if you're consistently giving answers that are 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes long, this is not a lecture. It's a conversation. And I know this is unfamiliar, scary territory for some academics. You need to just accept that you will not give a complete, full answer every single time. You say a bit about it, that will do. And you just need to know and trust when to stop. And if the podcast host or the presenter or the journalist, if they want more or they don't understand something, they'll ask. And if they don't, and you get to the very end and you think, God, I never said that thing about that was really important. Well, you could say to them, hey, listen, when you asked me about such and such, you didn't really let me get to the end. Could I say a little bit more about that? Another thing that happens quite a lot where it's podcasts or these kind of round table events is academic A will answer a question and talk about something. I will then ask a different question to academic B, and academic B begins by spending 2 or 3 minutes agreeing with academic A. And there might be certain academic events where that's okay and that's appreciated and adds to the conversation, but it's not what I want on my podcast or my video that I'm making. That's been planned and structured, and the communications professional has probably given me a brief and already told me what we want out of each guest. So if someone gives a good, complete, full answer, I think it's actually more polite for you just to think, oh, good on them. That was a great full answer. You don't need to go, oh, can I just take you back to what academic A was saying? Don't do that. Just let them. They've said their bit. That's cool. And if the host and the journalist is happy with it and we move on, I ask you something else. Don't begin by reiterating everything that they've just said. I actually think that's quite rude because it's almost like you're trying to say it better than them. That's often how it comes across. So try just to stick to the questions. Different if it's an academic event, but if it's a podcast or a video or something for the general public, you've just got to let it go, I'm afraid, and stick to the remit. So I think if you can keep that in mind and understand what's actually going on and understand that the hosts of these events, the teams at work that are making these videos or doing these podcasts, they're trying to help you. They're trying to take something out of academia and into the real world, which is actually where it's got a better chance of making a difference. It's actually where your reputation could increase even further, because you'd be appreciated and admired not just by your academic peers, but actually by everybody else. Now, you can't do that if people don't understand what on earth you're talking about. So communications, marketing, and PR professionals can really help you with that. So, in summary, number one, your academic reputation counts for nothing when you're talking to that different general public audience. They don't care. Now, on the one hand, that's probably quite bad news and a little bit upsetting. On the other, I would see it as really empowering. I would see it as an opportunity. You are not being judged to the extent that you think you are. So go with that and enjoy it. Second, when you're asked for a biography, don't give us an academic biography. Give me 2 or 3 lines and tell me about your pets and what you do in your spare time. Don't agree or come back to something that someone else has just said, and answer the question that you've been asked and know when to stop. And if that means that there's 20 minutes worth that you haven't said, tough. Suck it up and enjoy it. What we really want from these podcasts and these interviews and these videos is the general public to listen to you and your ideas and find out a taster of your work and think, oh, I want more of that. And then they might click through. They might come for more. They might read the full report, watch the full lecture, read your books, buy your books. But if you give them far too much from your world at the beginning, they will think, I don't know if I trust this person. Where's this person coming from? Why do they make me feel uneasy? I don't like them. Which may well just be the way I've made you feel. It works both ways. And I think there's so much where we can work together and we can help each other out just by understanding a little bit about each other's world. So I hope this has been useful for both sides. And pass this on to someone who needs it. And thank you very much for listening.